Coming up on Unpacked.
I kept asking her, don't you want to see the baby? Don't you want to see the baby? And then she said, no, just take care of the baby.
I mean, kids are kids. You never know. From one mistake, something could go wrong, and then you don't know. The doctor's like, you could have brought her earlier.
There's certain things you couldn't do, like you couldn't breastfeed.
After that, she went to ICU and she didn't come out.
We often hear the stories of single mothers, but it isn't so often that we hear about single fathers. Two of them are here to share their stories. Let's unpack. After the sudden loss of his wife, Malibetsa had to take the reins as both parents of his now 11-year-old daughter. It has not been an easy road, as the insurance professional and author has had to juggle between grief and parenting. Actor and model Joe Kazadi is known for depicting some of the most memorable roles on our screens. Off-screen, his primary role is being a full-time father to his 3-year-old daughter, who he is raising single-handedly. These two single fathers are here to share their stories. Let's unpack. Welcome to the show, gents. It is such a pleasure to have you here.
Thank you so much for having us.
Newa, and of course to you, Joe, as well. I mean, we don't have these conversations often enough, so I'm quite excited. But let me start with you, Joe. Take me back to what life was like before you became a parent.
Life was, you're living as a bachelor, so you can do whatever you want. There's no thinking that this could affect the new person or anything. You solo, you go out, you fly out, you do whatever. There was no much responsibility as when you become a father.
Yes. Yeah. And your side, before you became a parent, what was life like?
So for me, it was okay. I was chasing my dreams. I wanted to be the best that I could in life. I never thought about being married and having family until, such time when I thought I met the right person. And so basically for me, it was one of those feelings that were mixed. But I got there, and I love it.
Did you always want to be a parent? Or it's something you never thought about?
Well, personally, I wanted to be a parent. So when it happened, I embraced it.
Yeah. Was it, because we always hear about maternal instinct, the woman being the ones that are like longing to be a mom. It's not often we hear a man saying like, yo, I want to be a dad. I can't wait to be a dad.
Yeah.
Were those the conversations that you were having?
Yeah, because I don't feel like there's any parent who actually would just have a kid. Sometimes when you get together with a woman, you already know what you're doing. So it can't hit you by surprise. Yeah.
I'm so glad you said that.
No one can ever say it hit them by surprise. It will be a lie, But so I planned it. At some point in my life, I imagined it. And when it happened, I ran with it.
What was, and I'm asking this because you being a father, what was your relationship with your own father like, and how did that affect you wanting to be a dad?
Well, my dad lived or passed when I was like 2 weeks, so I didn't really have as much, We didn't have that connection. So I feel like I owe it to my little girl to have all the affection, all the things that I always wanted to do with my dad. So when she came, I was just like, okay, I'll do everything that I could have done with my father, with you. Let's do it.
And on your side, what was the relationship with dad like?
I didn't know my dad. I grew up without a father. I was raised by a single mom. She gave me all the love that she could. When you have a single parent, all she can do is give you the time that she has. She had to work 2 jobs. I was practically raised by my older brother, and he taught me everything I knew. So for me, having a child was like, the far distant thing. I was scared that what if I fail that child? So I just wanted to travel the world and experience life and maybe have a child later on in life.
Did the fact that you didn't know your father model for you the type of father you would want to be if you became a dad one day?
Yes, definitely. It had a lot of impact. First of all, I knew that I didn't want to have a child before I got married. because I wanted that child to have, I'm not saying marriage guarantees that the child will have both parents, but I'm saying I wanted to wait and be married first before I had a child so that I can make sure that she has
both parents.
Has both parents.
Yes.
And
What were the circumstances then to you having a child?
So I got married. I got married, I was 27, and I got married, and the next year, boom, the child was there.
I love how people say boom, like, if only it was that simple, boom, the child is there.
Yeah, and from there it has been the best experience of my life. They say the best gift is the one that you're not expecting, so it has been the best experience of my life, and I really enjoy it, yeah.
What were the circumstances that led to you being a father?
Oof. Oh, I don't know. The circumstances were like, look, when she's there, she's there. And it rings in your head and say, okay, now it's no more about you. It just, you have to make whatever that you have to provide and do it. Just
wait, are you talking about now that the child is here or prior?
Oh, you're talking about prior?
Yes, prior, as in, were you in a relationship? Were you married?
Oh.
What were the circumstances?
I was in a relationship, but I wasn't married.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, I wasn't married, but we were a proper relationship, just beautiful. And, she happened.
Baby was not a surprise?
Not at all. To me,
not
or the
boom.
women.
It wasn't boom.
No, mine was properly planned,
Yes.
and I wanted the child myself.
Yes.
Yeah.
So what happened when the child, actually before then, what was the pregnancy journey like? Because it's often all about the woman because she's carrying, but you were pregnant as well.
Exactly. Look, it was a beautiful journey. I mean, your first one, you get to learn a lot of things. I mean, women react differently. I actually had all the cravings because I was there. So it was like, you're eating, peanut butter, I'll mix it with bread and eggs, and I'm getting all the cravings.
Peanut butter and eggs?
It was hectic, but I was there, and it was scary. It's scary because you are looking at this person growing every day, her stomach is growing, and you're just wondering, like, when is she ever gonna come? Or he is ever gonna come? So when the baby arrived, it was amazing.
Did you choose to find out the gender prior?
Yes, actually. We went to a doctor close by, and it was a girl. I was like, it's a boy. She was like, no, it's a girl. And then when I found that it was a girl, everything changed completely.
Was your heart broken?
Not really broken.
That happens to a lot of men where they're so disappointed.
A lot of people don't understand that when it comes to this gender thing, we just always concerned about safety because it's easier to look after a boy and a little girl. So when I knew that the little girl was coming, and I was like, wow, now I have to be a father. Protection, making sure that everything has been done in order. Even me, myself, I had to change my life completely.
I literally feel like that topic on its own needs its own episode about men realizing you're going to be a father to a daughter versus a father to a son, and the different fears. Did you opt to find out the gender before the baby was born?
Yes, I was. I was really looking forward to it, and I wanted a boy, right? But
of course you did.
But I programmed myself to say, so long as the baby's healthy, right?
Yes.
We found out a couple of weeks later that it's a girl, and I was a little bit sad, but then I got excited to say, you know what, I'm gonna love this child. I'm gonna be there for her. When her mom was pregnant, I played music for her. When I came back from work, the baby kicked, like, yo, daddy's home, And I felt that connection with the baby, and it was the most amazing feeling for me. I suppose I would have girls anytime because girls are daddy's best friend, I think, for me. Yeah.
What were your fears when you found out you were having a girl and not a boy?
What kind of a father will I be? Nobody modeled it for me. Nobody was there to show me that this is what a father does. We grow up watching TV thinking a father is supposed to fill the fridge with food. A father is supposed to give out money. But I suppose we learn as we go, but we don't know the things that goes deep into that. So we have to learn from scratch. And I suppose there's something that kicks in when you finally have that child. But during that time when the baby's still in the stomach, you're wondering, am I going to be a good dad? Yeah, it's about knowing how to protect your child, especially a girl child. My brother mentioned, what is happening to women in these days. Will I be able to protect my child? How will she fit in at school? Her safety around the house, and obviously being a good dad. Will I be able to provide that safety and security and make her feel like a woman that she's going to be tomorrow? Those are the things that you thought about. Yeah.
And what about you? I mean, you've alluded to the fact that, oh my gosh, I'm so fearful. And we all know the statistics around gender-based violence and why women are more vulnerable in society. But what specifically was it that you were fearful of?
I was coming back from playing a character on TV that portrayed the dark side of a man. And there was, the gender-based violence. So it was a big topic in SA. So at that moment when I found out it was a girl, for me, I started imagining the thing and the storyline itself. I'm like, wow. So basically, I also have to start thinking about this with my own kid. I started Googling way to, the karate schools for kids and stuff like, because I'm like, if I'm not going to be there, she has to know how to protect herself. So my mom was like, relax. God is the one who protects the kids. It's not you. You can teach her to fight, but things will always happen. And then when I thought about it, and I was like, okay, I calmed down.
Yeah. So now baby arrives. What was the next thing that happened, and what happened that then led to you becoming a single father? Because you guys were still together at the time. Yeah.
Look, with these things, people just have to understand that you don't have to raise a child in a toxic home because you want to prove that it's a family. Sometimes you have to be the responsible parent and say, I choose to have my child and peace, and we can co-parent and you be on the other side. So for me, it's more about with my whole journey, my childhood and stuff, I wanted to be in a place where I can raise my kid with peace. I'm not saying that we're fighting with cat and dogs, but just the energy. For me, it's most important. So that was my reason. And also, I didn't want to be in a place where I feel like, every time when I come back, because I was at my peak, that was my peak, like my career just built up and then the child arrived. So I was like, okay, I have to make a decision or else I'm going to lose it. So I'm going to choose one thing. It's either I let go of my work or I focus on my family or I keep one person and I focus, So I had to make that decision. And when it happened, it was very, we friends, actually. We spoke about it and like, okay, this is what we're going to happen. And I was like, yes, that's perfect. And it will happen.
So usually what would happen is that when two people part ways, the child would most likely go to the mom.
Yeah.
What is it in your guys' situation that made it be that you were the one to take the child?
It goes back to what he said. If it was a boy, it was going to be a bit different. But this is a little girl. I am not sure that with us, although we separate and we're still co-parenting, I am not sure about your partner, what they can do to my child. Because you know them, but I don't know them.
Yeah.
So my child is safer with me as a father because I am a source of protection. So for me, it kicking like, I wouldn't be able to sleep every day knowing that my child in someone else's house, although the mother's there, but there's another man there. That's what every man should always think about, safety. And because that new man is not going to react to a child like it's your own. It's very rare to find a man who's coming into a woman's life and say, I'm going to take the child like it's my own. They can say it with their mouth, but would they do it with their action? And this is a girl. So for me, as if I want to have peace at night, I want to have this one with me, and a mom can visit her, it's fine. And beside, I feel like her home is at my place, because this is where your home is. You must be here whenever you want to. You can go and visit your mom, but this is your home.
And how old was your daughter when you guys separated and you took her on full time?
I've had her since she was 6 months.
That
Throughout
is tiny. Yeah.
throughout the whole lockdown, I was with her one man, and I experienced a lot of things. She started teething, and after that whole experience, until now that she's 2.5, I don't feel like there's any challenge that would ever come my way that I can't, I can't beat, or because if you can look after a little girl in those conditions
Yeah.
of lockdown, you can't go out, and it was hard. I was like, I'm done.
Yeah. What are the circumstances that led to you being a single father? Because now you're married, baby is born. What happened?
Unfortunately for me, she had an emergency cesarean. There was a problem. She was bleeding, so they rushed her to the hospital to take out the baby, and after that she went to ICU and she didn't come out. So from the hospital, I took the baby home, and it was quite an experience. For the next 3 months, the baby would cry non-stop every night, Luckily at work, they gave me the 3 months that she was supposed to have. They gave me the 3 months. So I was with her for the whole 3 months, extremely tired, but it was, when I look back, it was really worth it. I wouldn't trade it for anything.
How did you cope with that experience of your grieving while celebrating new life? Like, it's just life, literally life and death in one moment.
I like that you use the word cope because I had to try and cope. Obviously, there were people in my life that were helping me. She wasn't sleeping at night, which means I don't sleep at night as well. But during the day, she would sleep. And some other people would, people from my church would come and take her sometimes, go with her, a couple of people, so I would have enough rest. But for me, I felt like I didn't get enough time to grieve for her mother because she was keeping me busy. She made me not to think too much about losing a wife until after about 6 months. Then I was starting the process again, which means I had to, undergo the stresses of thinking about her mother passing away, the questions that she would have when she grows up. And basically, it was tough, but I felt like it was necessary for me to do it. It was necessary for me. My in-laws wanted to take the baby, but I said no. I need to raise her. I don't want my child to grow up in another family because I was also without a dad myself. I don't want my child to wake up tomorrow and say, who's my dad? How is my dad? And I wanted to know more about her than other people would know about her.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but did a part of you feel like if she went to go live with your in-laws that she would also not be getting to know her dad? She would also be losing another parent?
Yeah, basically, I didn't think of her losing another parent as such, but I thought of it is my responsibility, right? She's my child, and when I had her, I was ready to be a dad because I was married. So taking her to other people would mean that I'm shifting my responsibilities. I was feeling out of it. I was feeling completely destroyed, right, emotionally. But I felt like this is something that I need, and this is something that she needs as well, for us to be together in one place. And then, so that's what I thought.
Just in terms of, your wife passing on from basically overbleeding, going to ICU, not coming out, were there any indications in her pregnancy that there might be problems?
Not at all. So what happened was 2 weeks before, I had bronchitis. So I went to the doctor, and I was getting better. And she after that, she caught it, and she kept coughing and coughing. So she went to the loo, and when she wiped, she saw blood. And then we called the gynecologist. The gynecologist said, "Is it bleeding or spotting?" Right? And she said, "No, it's spotting." And then she said, "Okay, if it doesn't stop, call me again." it was in the morning. So in the afternoon, she went again to the toilet and she wasn't stopping. And so she said, okay. We went to the doctor. The doctor gave her medication. After the doctor gave her medication, we told the doctor that she was pregnant. The doctor gave her medication. After she drank the medication, then it wasn't spotting anymore. It was bleeding. So we called the gynecologist. He said, no, come to the rooms. We went to the rooms. The gynecologist checked, and then he said, no, we have to operate.
And that was it?
And yeah.
How long did she stay in ICU for?
She stayed about 8 to 10 days. Yeah.
And in that time, was she conscious?
Sometimes she was. Yeah, sometimes she was. Yeah, she was. Sometimes.
Did she get an opportunity to see the baby?
She saw the baby once. They say people know when their time is up, right? That's what they say. And I kept asking her, don't you want to see the baby? Don't you want to see the baby? And then she said, no, just take care of the baby. Ask for help when you need it, right? And I thought she was talking like that because she was under medication. That's what I thought, you know. But she only saw the baby. She didn't even touch the baby. She just looked at the baby and she disconnected. I thought, man, this will pass. And yeah, because the baby came a month before as well.
Yes.
So the baby was also in the neonatal ICU. So I had to go see the baby in the ICU, and then after that, go see her in the ICU. And yeah, that's how it ended.
And did the doctor mention any concern for her not trying to connect with baby, even though obviously they're both in different ICUs?
I think the doctor was more concerned about treating her.
Yeah.
Yeah. They were not offering any psychological help for her.
Yeah.
Yeah, they were just concerned about her to stop the bleeding. And I don't know if they ever got it right, but
yeah,
we can't blame the doctors for trying. They tried. Yeah.
How did you get the news that she had passed on?
I was with her mother, and I felt like, man, I need to drive and go somewhere. So I put the baby and her mother in the car, and I said, let's drive. I'm originally from Brits, so we drive into Brits. And the doctor, I saw the number of the doctor phone me. You know, I didn't answer the first time. And the doctor phoned again, and he said to me, dude, you need to come back. We're struggling with your wife. They put tubes in her. Apparently, she couldn't breathe as well. And then I had to U-turn and go to the hospital. And when I got there, she had passed.
She had passed, yeah. And you were with your mom at the time?
No, I was with her mom.
Her mom, yes, her mom.
Yeah.
And how did she take the news?
She was also torn.
Yeah.
She was torn. She was having a difficult time. She was the eldest of the girls at home, and they were very close. Yeah, so it was difficult for her. She was trying to be there for me, and I was trying to be there for her, and yeah, until the other family members came.
So I mean, and I'm gonna come back to you. You're saying that you spent, you had your daughter with you from when she was 6 months old, which is tiny. It's not like she can articulate what she wants and needs. She's still waking up in the middle of the night. Did you have any support with you?
No. It was during lockdown.
So
I had no support.
You had no support. You were all on your own.
I was all on my own.
Where was her family at the time?
Her family, like from my mom's side.
Yes.
I just feel like I'm the kind of person who does not ask people for help. When I feel like I can do something, I'll do it, especially if whatever that thing is my responsibility. I would rather have it on my own. And my own family actually knows I could be going through the toughest of time and I will not call anyone because life has taught me to always deal with things myself. And I also, that journey actually made me know that child more than anyone. For me, I felt like we needed that to know each other so that that bond will be forever, powerful.
Yes. What is, mom's side of the family's relationship with your daughter?
I guess it's fine. It's fine, but look, it's family.
Yeah.
It's family, and there's always going to be problem on this side, on that side. But my main focus is the little girl. I don't really look at who has to do what, who has to do that. And I'm teaching her the same thing. I said, you only have you, or I have you. We only have each other. So do not ever think and say someone is going to come here and rescue you. Don't look for affection. If I'm your father, I give it to you. That's it. Yeah.
You already alluded to the fact that sometimes mom is there, sometimes she's not. What is her relationship with her daughter like?
It's all right.
But she's not on like a regular routine to see her daughter.
I don't want to get into that. I would rather not get into that.
Let me put it to you this way, without you getting into the details. She's not a full-time parent like you are a full-time parent.
Again, I will not get into that.
You don't have to give me the details. Is she as involved as you are? Yes or no?
That answer will define a lot of things. And
Okay.
as an honest person that I am, I would not rather answer that question.
Okay. So what is the hardest part about being a single father?
You do everything on your own. And you need to understand that you need to know the lot of things, small things. Even when she's not feeling well, you can touch a temperature and you're like, no, she's not fine. You have to know everything because, kids are kids. You never know. From one mistake, something could go wrong and then you don't know. The doctor's like, you could have brought her earlier. So there's a lot of things. You have to pay attention to every small thing. It's only you and her, basically. And it instantly kick in your head and say, if you have to leave this earth, it's the biggest fear ever. Because who is going to do the same things that you are doing? Not even my own mom will be able to do the things that I do because she's my responsibility.
So what for you was you've mentioned different moments. What would you say has been your hardest moment as a parent?
The hardest moment is when she was teething. We were staying together at that time and she couldn't eat and I didn't know what to do. So most of us would just go on Google and like, okay, what do you do here?
Yeah.
When she's doing this. So it was, for me, that was the hardest. And then after it passed, everything has been all right.
Yeah. And from your side, you had your daughter with you from her being a newborn. You had some support around you. What was the hardest part about, being a single father?
Hardest part? Maybe that time hasn't come yet, but I suppose there were... When I say to her, she's 11 now, so when I say to her, you saved my life, and she laughs, she doesn't understand what I'm talking about. The hardest part for me was not being able to sleep for 3 months, and I'm expected to wake up in the morning and while she fall asleep. And I remember this one time, it was 2 a.m. and I hadn't been sleeping for a whole long time. And I held her in my hand and I said, you know what, I'm going to give up. So I was going down the stairs and my pastor was sitting down in the couch and I was going to him and I was going to tell him that I'm just giving up, giving my daughter to her mother's family. And immediately when I came down, without me saying anything to him first, he said to me, you're doing a good job now, And I went back upstairs and I was recharged. So there were people around me that would say positive things. So when they saw that I was extremely exhausted, they said things. And luckily for me, my daughter never got sick. I never had to rush her to any hospital. When she was teething, she was biting my fingers. She had stuff, So for me, I suppose the difficult part was me dealing with a crying baby while missing out on mourning my wife, So the baby didn't really give me that much problem. Even for a new dad, I was surprised. But But I suppose it's because I had help around me. I had people that I could talk to, people that I could rely on. So,
When did it hit you that she was gone?
it took me 2 years to accept her death, right? So every year I kept thinking, she was saying, we were staying around Cresta Mall. So every year around her anniversary, I kept dreaming that she was saying to me, I had a lot of debt, which she didn't. She said, I had a lot of debt, so I had to run away from some people. So I had to fake my death. But I miss you so much. Just go underground parking at the Cresta Mall, right, and wait for me there. So for 2 years, I drove and I sat there for hours. And,
Wow.
And I waited for her. And the third year, I said to myself, no, man, this can't be happening, right? And I stopped dreaming about her. That's when I started to realize, man, yeah, she's really gone. Yeah.
What do you think that was about?
You know, to be honest, even today, as 11 years down the line, I still ask myself, what was the dream about? Maybe I was thinking too much about her. Maybe I was hoping that she's not dead, you know, even though I saw her in the casket. And I had to undergo therapy, obviously, to take away those thoughts, I suppose. So I still don't know what the dream was about.
I think it's great that you're at a better place, but I'm glad you are painting the reality for other people to say it took 2 years. Like, I mean, I still don't know how you got through that, literally having lost your wife and then you have a newborn who you're trying to be consciously not putting another type of emotional energy onto them, of grief, trying to be a new dad, doing it on your own. Like, I have the utmost respect for you, even though some people might be watching thinking, of course that's what he must do. If it was a woman, she would do it anyways. Like, it still takes a lot out of a person. And there's certain instincts that might not necessarily kick in. There's certain things you couldn't do, like you couldn't breastfeed.
Yeah.
To somebody who might be watching thinking, how did you do it? What would you say to them?
I have no idea. I just saw myself cruising through life, you know, and I suppose it's one of those things that when you look back, you're like, it was tough.
Yeah.
But having that child there helped me not to give up, you know. There was points in my life where I went to the doctor and the doctor said, dude, if you don't take it easy, you're going to get depressed, you know. And I was looking and I'm like, I cannot afford to get depressed because I have a child to raise.
Yeah.
And I had to find strength. I had to, I'm an author, so writing helps me. And I had to start writing, and that kind of like helped me to reach a certain point in my life where I say, you know, now I'm ready to talk about this. I'm ready to go out and speak to people about it, because you realize that there's an uncle of mine who lost his wife many years ago. He was never the same. They say that men never really recover from losing their wives, but they don't want to talk about it. They're not going to cry it out because they're going to look like they are weak. But it eats them up inside, and they are never ever the same. Especially if you and your wife were extremely close, because you know we had our friends that were also married, and we were married for only 1 year.
Yeah.
So we met 1 year. Next year we got engaged. Next year we got married. Next year had a baby, and she died on almost the same month, right? And at that time we were extremely happy, and I was like, I thought I was blessed. I had myself a Zulu wife. You know, I was blessed. But you know, I suppose we were that happy because it was going to be short-lived. Yeah.
What did you learn about yourself becoming a father?
Patience. Before I became a dad, I thought I'm not patient. I couldn't stand in a line at the bank, at the ATM. I always asked myself, why do people stand in long lines at the ATM? Like, you know, I thought I had no patience at all. But my daughter showed me that, you know, I can wake up 3 times at night because she needed a bottle. She would cry, and I would wrap her up, and I would get upset inside, but I would look at her and say, you know what, she's my responsibility. She has nobody else. And from there, I was able to be patient with other people. And one thing that I learned was that this is what single moms go through every day. and I'm like, mothers are strong. And that's how my mother was, that's what my mother went through as well. And it made me realize a lot of things about life and people, that, be patient with people. They're going through stuff every day.
What did you learn about yourself becoming a father?
It's actually similar to what he said. Especially girls, they teach you patience. You have to understand that little girls, you need to be very, very patient. And the moment you show a certain type of frustration, they can pick it up and they can feel it. And you don't want to be that person. You always want to be the favorite person to her. The one that gives her all the affection, the love. Even when you're mad, she can't feel it. So for me, it has taught me priorities. So she taught me patience, overcoming, everything. You have to be very, very, very patient. And there are just things that you can't do anymore.
Yeah.
Because now there's this little person there, and 6 o'clock is 6 o'clock. You must go back home.
Yeah.
5 o'clock is 5 o'clock. You need to let go of certain friends because you cannot call me and say, hey, let's go party. And I'm like, no, listen, there's a person I need to see before you sleep.
Yes.
Because I'm the only person she sees before she sleeps.
Yes.
So responsibility, priorities, all those things now is like the main thing in my life.
Yes.
Yeah.
What is dating like as a single dad? How do you navigate that space?
Dating, ne? I don't know. I don't know. I don't. Let's just say the last 2 years have been the years where I thought to myself that now I'm ready to date, because I was through a dark place. 8 years of my life, I was in a dark place. I tried to date, but I would see somebody that I like, but spending time with them would make me just walk away. And it was an extreme struggle, So for the past 2 years, I've been preparing my mind, my life to say, you know what, I can welcome somebody new in my life and start the journey with them, because sometimes you think you are okay emotionally, but when you get into a relationship, you realize that there's a whole lot of things that I still need to deal with. And in the process, if you force things, you hurt other people because you are hurting as well. So it was, I had to stop it because it was unfair on other people, right? Now, but now I believe that I'm ready. I've taken steps, I've done things to prepare me and to talk about my late wife without sounding like she's just walked out now.
Yes.
You sound a bit strange when you're sitting with somebody, you're having coffee with them, you're on a date, and you say, oh, my wife used to do that.
Yes.
You still feel like, no, I'm still a long way to go. And I had to work on myself and prepare myself for whatever is coming.
Yeah. And your side, because your daughter's younger, so obviously it will be a bit harder to navigate.
When you are trying to introduce a woman in your life as a single parent, especially as a father, a lot of women don't actually even come for that child, they come for you as a man. So it is your responsibility as a man to actually be able to notice that, is this person actually here for both of us or only for me?
Yes.
So that's my biggest question all the time. Look, women are there, there's always going to be someone for you, but when you come in my life, I have to look at that. You can say you love me from here to the end of the world. I don't care. But do you love us? Because I do not come alone. I come as a team. And I'm not ever going to put my daughter in a situation where she felt like she's not part of the home where she belongs. So those are my main concern when I'm going out for dating. I haven't really dated after. I don't find, that thing. Maybe in my generation, women don't understand that. And it's always the older women above me who will actually feel and say, okay, when I'm coming into the man's life and he has a girl or a child, I have to make sure that they come as a team. It's not just the man alone.
Yeah, and my suspicion would be that it would be easier to date a single mom, because then you're coming from the same
place.
It's not.
It's not.
How come?
It's not.
How come?
It's quite the same, because even when you go into the woman's life and you say she has a child, you also have to make sure that child, you take that child like as your own.
Yeah.
Especially as a father, you need to be a leader. You need to show that woman that you are the person who can can continue from there. She already has a child, but we can continue and add more kids, and then we'll all move as a family together. Yeah. And a lot of people are failing to do that these days. Toluwuti, there's a stepfather and a stepmom, so there's always problem in the house. And I went through that in my childhood. And now that I want someone new to come in my family, in my life, I have to think about all those things. So I had to let go of so many people, because the moment where I start feeling like you're just there for me, it's okay.
I got you. From your side, is there anything you think the viewers would be surprised to know about being a single father? Because it's not often that we have these type of conversations.
So I think for me, what stands out between my relationship with my daughter is that she loves me, that child, She loves me so much that when I'm away from her, the first thing she does when she wakes up is pick up a phone, and call me. And I'm asking her, no, every time, because I'm an introvert. She's an extreme extrovert, She likes to talk too much. So I'm like, no, but when every second that you wake up, you pick up a phone, you call me. She's like, yeah, you're the first person I think about, And the benefits of that, you know what? They say that a girl falls in love with her dad first. When your child calls you daddy, you're my hero, you know that you've done something right. And when you love your kids and you are there for them, and even if you don't give them quantity of time, but the time that you have with them, that you spend with them, is more productive. You can spend an hour, push aside the WhatsApp, push aside the Facebook, focus on them, and you will be amazed at the bond that you can build together. We have an unimaginable bond that even somebody can say something to my daughter about me. She will say, oh, Daddy, somebody said this, And, you know how the in-laws are, but, politics. and you say, no, it's okay, my baby. What do you think? And she will tell me, don't worry, Dad. I know that people talk. So we've built an unbreakable bond, because when we are together, when we do things together, when we do picnics together, it's amazing. I'm honest to her about who I am, how I feel, what I felt about her mother. Whenever she wants to talk about her mother, I explain everything. I explain everything to her. So yeah, that's the choice of being a dad.
What would viewers be surprised to know?
Yeah. A surprise about being a single parent.
A single dad in particular, yeah.
A single dad, it's different. It's way too different, because the surprise is that there's always going to be a woman ready to help you, even if she's not related to you. You don't feel alone, especially in this continent.
I have to make note that both of you, spoke about women supporting you, and I didn't hear either of you say, like, my homies were there. And maybe because you've got daughters, but I mean, is it that men don't automatically show up to say, guys, our friend is a single dad? Like, what's up with that?
My generation has a problem where you need to show them things. And for me personally, coming out on social media and say, I'm a single dad, I have a child, all of my friends came out and they're like, now we proud that, we proud this. Men want to be shown. When you tell them something, they listen. But when you show them, and then they start thinking, oh, actually, I can also do this. So a lot of men now are coming out to say they are responsible dad, but a woman is always there to help you. Like, regardless, when they see me with my kid, I used to carry her because I had a bag, I put her there. We go to markets, whatever. Everyone's like, give it to me. You're going to the bathroom, you're going. So there's always a woman. But the man, the guys are not even there. Once you get a child, they start running away from you. because they're like, now he's a dad, now we can't go drink a beer, we can't do this. And that's when you realize who are your real friends.
The women are always there to help. Can we just make note of that?
Yes.
James, thank you so much for this enlightening conversation. I mean, I think society as a whole has always had a certain respect for single mothers, even though it comes with its own connotations about why are you single. But now to get to see the other side, I think it's a learning experience, not just for society as a whole, but for men in particular, that you can be the ones to take charge if the circumstances require that you raise your child on your own. It can be done. Thank you so much, James, for coming to talk to us.
Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
Hashtag Unpacked with Relebogile. What are your thoughts? Single fathers. There are not many of you out there, but today we are recognizing you, we are seeing you, and of course, big up and respect to those of you that have found yourself in circumstances where you have had to be single fathers. I can't imagine it to be easy because, you know, biologically there's certain things as a man that you cannot do for your child that a mother can. But yes, you are there and we see you. Join us on the socials. Thank you so much for joining us. Have a good night. Next time on Unpacked, what was the moment for you then that you said, I want to commit and be all in?
I really didn't like the fact that all the things that we do at the end is just a body into a box into the ground. And so what was it all about? What was it for?
Thank you so much for watching Unpacked with Relebogile Mabotja. Make sure you subscribe to my channel where you can get to watch more episodes. But more importantly, you can be part of our online community. Comment down below, share with us who you'd like to see on the show, what story you'd like us to discuss. We love engaging with you. Keep it coming and don't forget to subscribe.